Here's your June market update for 100 Mile House in the Interlakes region. Real estate is not doing anything super exciting, but things are ticking along. And interestingly, there's some fun numbers in here. So let's have a look at them. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So when we look at everything that's available right now on the market, there's 467 units. Now that's up a little bit from where it's been over like the last decade, but it's not super alarming. When we do look at the active listings, so this is the 100 Mile House market. You can see we've got those 466 at the end of May. And last year for May was 443. So that's about it. And you can see every year in June we peak. So 473 last year, 470 the year before, 402 in 2023. So nothing super exciting as for listings. But when we look at month supply, 14-month supply, that's the worst we're going to see through the year, likely, right? We talked about inventory peaking at this time. This is not a super alarming number, but it's definitely buyer's market territory. Buyers out there right now have a lot of choice, and sometimes they have a lot of bargaining power. And what I'm going to talk about there is when we look at what sold. This is in the month of May, and it's for the residential listings. We can see days on market here for the average and median. So average is 67. There was quite a few, though, that sold 12 days, 17 days, 6 days, 13, 6, 14 in the first couple of weeks. And those are the ones where you get more of your asking price. So the sellers who sell in the first couple of weeks have more bargaining power. What we're seeing there is lots of buyers think it's a great house. So if it's nice and it's listed at the right price, you'll get a lot of buyer interest because there are buyers out there. And then the buyers get into multiple offers or into a situation where the sellers really got, had a bunch of showings, there's been a lot of interest, and they can negotiate with a little bit more confidence. So if you're a seller, you want to pick that price point where you're going to get a sale in the first week. There is a chance that you could list high and get a higher sales price, but you're going to have less negotiating power when you get to the table on those deals. Now, when we go back to looking at the statistics, we can see our average sales price here. 521 was the average. The average list price was 546. So if you're a seller and you're listed over that 550 number, it's going to be harder for you to sell to start with. And if you're a buyer who's looking over this 550 number, you're going to have a little bit more negotiating power because there's less buyers up at those price points. And you can see like most of our sales happen at that 550. What's swaying the numbers this month? So our one sale at 1.475, that's going to bring your averages up quite a bit. And then we had a couple at this 8 mark. So if you've got a waterfront listing, above 8, we sold 3. This one might not be waterfront. That's an acreage probably. But these two, so we sold 2 lake lots over 800 in the month of May. That doesn't bode well for all of you guys out there with those waterfront listings. You have considerably more competition than those people who, are listed down here. For the buyers, there's way fewer buyers, so more competition for you guys. When we go back to Stat Center here, we can look at days on market. This is always pretty jumpy, but when we roll it out to look on the averages to see what's going on average, you can see days on market's been fairly steady. That 55, we were up to 59, down to 45. That's over the last almost 3 years. Okay. So days on market isn't doing much of anything. And I think that's why your sales price is also not doing much of anything. Okay. There's going to be probably a couple more expensive houses sold in these months, a couple more cheap homes sold here to see those dips. But on your rolling average, you can see since 2024, sales prices have been pretty steady. what we're seeing there on the listing side of things is sellers are listing, some of them very high, thinking they're going to get what they got maybe in 21, 22 when things were pretty high. And they're sitting on the market for longer. They're either reducing their prices until they get into the right price point and their doors start swinging, or they just pull it off the market and try again later. So we are seeing a lot of price reductions out there. But as you could tell by that graph, prices have been fairly steady. It's the people who are pricing at that mark who are getting those multiple offers, getting most of what they're asking, and getting those sales where there's a ton of houses out there that aren't selling right now, right? So you have to think about that if you're a seller and which section you want to be in there. As for buyers, again, you guys have a lot of negotiating power until you get into those houses that everybody wants. Or those ones, you need to be ready to write a good offer, right off the hop and be able to put your best foot forward there to get those sellers' attention. And there's things we can do there. But yeah, I think, like, to summarize all of this, you can see we've got new listings coming on, but our month supply has been fairly steady. We'll go back to the monthly one here. I mean, it's that time of year. So buyers are going to see the most choice at this time of year. Sellers are also going to see the most buyers generally at this time of year when we look at our sales. And actually see that bottom bar there because of my Zoom share. Oops, this one, sales. You can see we do have an annual cycle for sales, and through the summer month, we're going to see the most of those. So sellers, you need to be on the market right now. If you're thinking about selling this summer, this is the time, or 2 weeks ago was the time to get it listed. Buyers are going to see the most activity right now in the spring. Summers can be hit or miss, as you go through. You can see we get some months are better than others. But yeah, hopefully that gives you guys all a bit of an idea what the numbers are and what they mean for you and your position. If you would like a little bit more clarity on this, or if you want me to break down your section of the market, whether you're a buyer looking, at a certain price point and looking at those stats, or a seller and those same things, the price point and the stats and what they mean for you, feel free to give me a call. I'm Amanda with eXp Realty, and I'm always here to help. So reach out with your questions or comments. I always love to get some feedback on these videos, and I hope that you guys are having a great day. It's June 1st, and it's pretty lovely outside, so get out there and enjoy it. Have a good one.